Now that we have a basic understanding about how Flash Catalyst works, we're going to be creating a document in Photoshop. So we're going to go to Photoshop, but before you do that, you need to organize the files that you're going to need. For the purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to give you some files and you can use these, but I suggest that you use your own because it'd be nice for them to be your own. What I have here is I'm using XNView to see all the images that I have, and I'll be using XNView a little bit later in the tutorials as well to compress them all of the same size, or to batch convert them, that is. But you can see that I have a number of paintings. These are 3 paintings, an artist picture and an artist bio. Now you can do your particular project on an artist as well, or you could do it on a photographer or anything. This happens to be my mother, so it probably wouldn't be appropriate for you to use your project on my mother. So anyway, I have 3 paintings here that are all 500 by 350 pixels. And then I have some mandalas, which we'll be using in the second project that we'll create. And then I've got the bio picture and then the text. So what I'm going to do is create the shell in Photoshop. So I'm going to start off by creating the document 700 pixels by 400 pixels, I believe is what I set that I would use. And I'm going to bring in the images that I know I'm going to use. So I'm going to bring in the 3 paintings. Now one cool thing about bringing them all at once is that they'll all come in at once, and all I have to do is hit the enter key and you'll see that they're all smart objects. It'd be a great idea for me to group these into a group, or put them into a folder and call that artwork, or paintings rather. That might even be better. It's going to be really important that we organize our work. Now I should be able to move all of them at once as well, which is really nice. So I've moved those over to the side a little bit. Now I'm not leaving myself a whole lot of room for graphics and text, but that's okay. At 100% size, I have enough room here that I should be able to see what it's going to say. If I really needed to, I could. In fact, it's maybe not a bad idea, but let's worry about that afterwards. Anyway, I'm going to also give myself a background color. So I'm going to go with one of those kind of medium grays that you kind of see that all artists kind of use. But you'll notice that the paintings don't really pop right now. So what I'm going to do with my paintings is actually create some sort of background element for them so I can have maybe a drop shadow. So with one of the paintings selected, with the control key, I kind of get an outline, and I can create a new layer, put it beneath my paintings, or even on my background. Possibly. Get off of there. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is turn off my paintings, and I'm going to fill this with some other color. Now, it might be nice to fill it in with another kind of gray, just so it's there. And then you can add a drop shadow or something else. So there's a drop shadow I'm going to be using for my pictures. Now all of my paintings will be using the same drop shadow. That's why I've separated them on 3 different levels or layers. So I can turn them off without turning off the background. So I might even name these backgrounds. So I'm going to actually change the name of this background, make it a real layer, and I'm going to add a new folder, call this background, and I'll put all the elements that are background elements into that layer. That way I can kind of have them separated. Now I'm going to create another one, which will be my text. Let's see, this will be the side info. And inside here, I'm going to add some stuff I want. I need to have a title, which says Elizabeth Ross Artist. So I need to make it so we can actually see this. So might make that white text. Might make the other stuff kind of maybe an orange or something, just to make it a little different. Maybe even a light blue. That could be kind of cool. Its legibility isn't amazing, but that's okay. Alright, so I've got some text there. Now what we need is something that we can use to navigate to the different things. So I know that I'm going to go to two sections. I'm going to go to the bios and the paintings. So I'm going to create my two little buttons here. So I can use any tool that I want. I tend to like, for some reason, creating bitmap graphics. But if you want to use something like the rounded rectangle tool, you can totally use that as well. So this is going to be the bio, and the problem that I don't like about it, and this is why I don't love this, is that I don't get the control that I'd like with this. What I can do though is I can start off by creating that shape, and then if I create a new layer on top of it, I can select the two layers and then make this a bitmap just by merging the two layers together. Now what I can do is duplicate that. So this will be the bio layer, and this one will be the paintings button. So I need to duplicate that. I think I just made a new layer. Whoops. I need to actually Control J to duplicate it. That way, hopefully we can create another version of this here. Yeah, I can move that down. And now what I can do is change that to paintings. So you'll see it's actually a lot of work to do this. Now I can change, make some new text. So I just duplicated some text there, and I'm going to change one of these to bios, or biography. Make the whole word. Why not? So there's biography, and then I can Control J to duplicate that, and then call that paintings. Whoops. So I'm going to kind of put that in the middle of that button. Now for each of these buttons, one of the things that we need to be aware of is that we're going to also need a second state for this button. So what it looks like when we are clicking on it. So I'm actually going to Control J and make a duplicate of that. And I'll even put it underneath or below. It doesn't matter, I guess. And I'm going to change the settings of it so that it's a little bit darker. Maybe I'll even make it a color. I'll give it that kind of blue color possibly. So I'm going to hide the I'm going to make the transparency so it can't be changed. And there I can now see that I have a blue button. It's not perfect design, but it'll work. Now I do the same thing with the paintings. I'm going to create that new paintings there. And then I'm going to change the transparency, or lock the transparency, and then fill it with the blue. That way I have both settings for the buttons. The other thing that I'm going to need is some way to navigate between my different paintings. So I'm going to create just an arrow that points off to the left and to the right. So one thing that I could do possibly is find, maybe they have some arrows in here. So look at that. We've got some arrows right there. It's kind of nice. So there's going to be one arrow that I'm going to use. I can even put it down here, in fact. Might scale that down. And then I'm going to duplicate that, Control J, and spin it around with the Control T. Oops. And then just move to the other side. They're definitely not perfect, but it's something to get us started. And of course, you can use whatever design that you want to make this a little bit better. because I'm just trying to do this so that we get kind of started. Now, what I'd often do actually with these designs is put the graphics up on top of the paintings if possible. The only thing that I'm afraid of is that I won't be able to see that I won't be able to see my paintings correctly when I do that. Still not a bad idea. If I were to do this, I'd probably go ahead and make these the white or another color so that they don't interfere too much, and I can even take the opacity down so that they're not quite as obvious. So if I do have on a painting, let me go to a painting and turn one on, you'll see that I have my arrows there, but these are not super in the way. Maybe if I put them down below, look better. So you can play with your design a little bit, and when you're done, go ahead and save your Photoshop document, and we can go on to the next part.